Just Home CGX, and this is The Catan, explained by an Australian. Warhammer 40k lore by channel, major kill obviously. Yeah, do a lot of major kill video. They're short and I guess, yeah, short. All the other videos I've seen is like long documentary level sizes. So yeah, I guess brickies are all obviously big one, but they're all mostly like summarized type. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to categorize bricky. I guess he summarized things the best, so it's great to watch his video. I don't know. But yeah, I saw the old ones video yesterday. Obviously, it was really fun. I didn't know that almost all races, if not all races of Warhammer, were created by the old ones, including humans. But that was surprising. And Katans are the devourers, I guess. Apparently, in mythologies, there's a thing, right? Where only good things can create and evil cannot. That is the. I mean, I understand that when I hear about it. Because we cannot accept the concept that creator can be bad. Because creator automatically means God, isn't it? I mean, so creator being bad, like what does that mean? So we can't really, so, all the mythologies has this element. And also the Christianity being the devil is trying to deceive you this and that. Because devil can't create but can corrupt type of thing. So yeah, I guess Catan is in that sense evil. Because the devour stars devour everything but can't create something while old ones can. But yeah, so old ones are extinct, maybe. Maybe Emperor of Mankind is the old one and is now dominating the universe. Who the fuck knows? But the old ones are extinct, while the Katans are not. They are just broken up. So one day they could come back again or something. Even though I'm probably sure that's not going to happen. Because the GW probably made them as a power tool rather than them as a species to come back. So they're just going to use the shards basically as a power tool rather than anything else. But yeah, so let's do this one. Remember, if you like my reacts and don't forget to subscribe, so I know which videos to react to more. I love Warhammer, as you can already tell. And if you haven't seen other my Warhammer reactions, check it out. There's a link in the description. And yeah, let's do it.
G'day guys and gal. For a setting dedicated towards sci-fi and technological evolution, religion and gods play a huge part of Warhammer 40k. Unlike real life, however, the gods in 40k are actually real and do stuff, hence it makes them kinda hard to ignore. Some of these gods were good. I say were because all the good ones are dead. Most of them were bad, however. The Catan fall into the category of bad, which isn't entirely their fault, but we'll get to that in a bit. Today we'll go over who the Catan are and where they come from. We will then go over each of the main Catan and what their powers are, before going over what they're currently up to. Let's get into it. Billions of years before the Emperor was clapping...
What are the Catan up to? Aren't they like, cut up to pieces and now like the shards or something that Necrons uses? How are they still around right now?
The galaxy's cheeks and Slanesh was sucking off some Eldar souls, the Big Bang occurred. This hectic, life-giving explosion also gave us the Catan, who more or less were the first god.
Back up.
Let's get into it. Billions of years before the Emperor was clapping the galaxy's cheeks and Slanesh was sucking off some Eldar souls, the Big Bang occurred. This hectic, life-giving explosion also gave us the Catan, who more or less were the first gods of the material universe. Now, when they were first born, the Catan were like big old jellyfish that wandered around aimlessly and slowly ate stars. They were not sentient or malicious and had no interest in life beyond sucking down some hot spicy star ramen, and they did this for billions of years, not noticing or not caring about the various life forms that had begun to emerge. During this time, a bunch of sad little sausages who had more cancer than Deadpool, called the Necron tier, emerged. Now these dudes were smart, but apparently not smart enough to invent sunscreen, as their planet was racked with more UV rays than Australia. Considering...
Anyway, did he just say this was smart? Necron tiers was smart? Does it mean this race is really clever in that way? Because how does that fucking make sense? If they were smart, how the fuck they were in this kind of... How they could not get out of this situation? Whenever somebody says smart, I'm automatically going to assume smarter than human, because that would be the threshold, right? If you're smart, then maybe you're smarter than humans, that's what you mean. So I'm pretty sure humans could have figured something out, created something, invented something to get around all the issues they faced. How are they constantly getting fucked and they were still smart? How does that work? So that lore is like,
We still have a hole in our ozone layer that's a lot of UV rays. As such, they died like flies, even as they began to colonize other worlds that didn't irradiate their balls. Eventually they bumped into the Old Ones, who are a bunch of condescending space toads who refuse to share the secrets to immortality, or even SPF 50+ sunscreen, to the Necron tier. The Necron tier weren't super keen on this, hence they declared war on each other? Yeah, look, they might be good scientists, but clearly they aren't that smart. The civil war between the Necron tier was devastating.
And there is also such thing as scientific smarts and no general smarts. That doesn't work, right? Smart is smart. If you're scientifically smart, like you can invent shit, you'll be smart everywhere else as well. Just because you don't have any interest in that, or you haven't dabbled in everything else, doesn't mean you're not smart on those field. High IQ is high IQ. So I don't know how this works.
Silent King, the leader of the Necron tier, declared war on the Old Ones in order to unite his people under a common enemy. While his people did unite, picking a fight with the Old Ones as a race of salty little cancer sausages would be like a paraplegic kid arcing up to Conor McGregor during one of the Irishman's many cocaine benders. Needless to say, the paraplegic kid would end up as a quadriplegic kid. The Necron tier got smashed and lost most of their galactic empire. They then declared war on themselves again, because as we've established, these guys are dumb as shit. As they're about to drive themselves into extinction once again, a report came back. Numerous dying stars the Necron tier had been watching showed the presence of large beams of pure energy, the Katan. Now, the Necron tier, still being stupid, were like, what if we get these big balls of parasitic energy and give them physical bodies and consciousness? What could go wrong? Well, a lot could go wrong, and a lot did go wrong. However, the Necron tier / Necrons are still divided about whether or not it overall was the right call. Anywho, large bodies made of living metal were created for the Katan to inhabit. Now, creatures of the physical plane, the Katan were now sentient. Their vast power and knowledge finally could take form and manifest itself. And yeah, well, they became massive dicks.
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't he just say that Katans were like jellyfish type of things that devoured these stars or something? So these are not really ethereal type of creature. Like these are physical creature that he's describing. So why did they need a body? And why did body make them sentient? Before them, why weren't they sentient? Right? Because I always took like Katans were more like an energy than a physical thing. So that's why they needed body. But if they were already like jellyfish type of creatures, they're like, does it mean sentient as something that can think and talk? But they are already doing that because they have intent. Did all these things when Necron demanded this body or something? I don't know.
I don't think it helped that the Necron tier gave them really evil looking bodies to inhabit. The Katan noticed that souls were super delicious and way better than eating suns, hence they devised a plan to get some of that soul chowder. The Katan, now known as the Deceiver, was like, yo, we hate the Old Ones as well. We can give you weapons and shit to kill them. We can also give you immortality. And the Necron tier were like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Except for the old prophet, and by old I mean like 35 years old because these guys don't live for long, who said, maybe we don't fuck with star gods. And everyone was like, shut up prophet, now suck me fucking me my Katan overlord. Hence the Katan built big old soul furnaces where a Necron tier would go in, their body and soul would be eaten by the Katan, and their consciousness would be put in a metal body. They did achieve immortality, however they felt empty. You know, it tends to happen when you don't have a soul. The new metal Necron tier were renamed to the Necrons, and with their Katan buddies, waged a new war against the Old Ones. This time, it would be the Necrons who would emerge victorious. Kind of. Nobody really won. Large parts of the warp turned into the realms of chaos from all the negative emotions associated with war. The Old Ones died out or fled the galaxy, and the Eldar were getting raped by new warp parasites. The Katan were the lords of the galaxy and were very arrogant. So arrogant that the Eldar trickster god was able to trick them into consuming each other, heavily reducing the amount of Katan there were. The few remaining Katan were then ambushed by the pissed off Necrons, who were angry that they had no souls. Damn, these guys are really salty. The Necrons' weaponry were capable of killing the Katan. However, upon killing the Katan called the Flayer, who was a massive arsehole even by Katan standards, the Necrons in the wider galaxy were cursed with the Flayer virus, which turned Necrons into zombie-like creatures that flay your skin and wear it. The lesson of the day was that due to the Katan being fundamentally a part of the physical universe, killing them would have...
One thing I've realized, that there's literally nothing that happened to Necrons ever was anything positive. Just like even by the end, like fuck you, you get this kind of a virus type of thing. Like, when you really put it like put it on a book, whole life stories of Necrons, and read it to somebody who's never even heard of Warhammer, they'll be like, "Oh, that's so fucked up. This is a sad situation. Everybody's fucked constantly." Imagine if some kind of greater war happens, and after all done, like Necrons actually kicking everybody's ass and everything, Imperium, everything. In the end, there's like an emotional monologue by one of the Necrons, like, we just want a place for our people to live and thrive. We just want that, and teary-eyed and everything.
Serious consequences for the physical universe. Hence, Plan B was enacted. Smash the Catan into shards, then use those shards as batteries or as overpowered Pokemon that you need to deploy in a hitch. Before their shattering, however, the Catan work with the Necrons to try and get rid of the warp. As the Catan were beings of the physical realms, the warp, aka the spirit realm, was considered bullshit hacks by them and needed to go. Hence they created warp pylons like the ones on Cadia, with the intention of cutting up the warp from real space. This plan never came into total fruition, however, but it ended up being a powerful weapon to use against Chaos for the Imperium in the future. The Necrons, weakened by their war against the Old Ones and the Catan, decided to go to bed for a bit, taking their new god tier batteries to bed with them. Now, we know what the Catan are and where they came from. Who are the known Catan? Well, first off, it's important to note that most Catan are heavily sharded, hence there are dozens if not more of the same Catan in the galaxy running around. Upon two shards meeting, they will merge to form a more powerful shard. We get it? Good. First up, we have Asgorod, the Nightbringer. I'm just putting it out there, all the Catan have really try-hard edgelord names. The Nightbringer is the literal manifestation of death and the Grim Reaper. It was actually this Catan who cursed the galaxy with the fear of death, other than the Orcs, because they're pretty much uncursable. The Nightbringer is considered one of the most powerful of the Catan and is the god of death, darkness and destruction and all those other edgy words starting with D. The Necrons don't like this guy and avoid using him as a Pokemon at all costs. However, they have done it a number of times when shit was that desperate. While the other Catan were tactical and subtle when they were given bodies by the Necrons, the Nightbringer was not. He started killing the Necron tier for fun and was a pretty shitty god overall. It took a lot of persuasion from the other Catan to try and get him to stop killing all the Necron tier so they could instead fight the old ones. Cain and the Nightbringer dueled each other during the War in Heaven. However, despite his strength, this is Kayla Mencha Cain we're talking about here, god of war. Hence the Nightbringer was destroyed and his scythe banished to the Immaterium. This was only a minor inconvenience, however, and the Nightbringer was given a new body. When the Catan turned on each other, the Nightbringer scored a lot of kills on his fellow Catan before he was finally sharded by the Necrons. In recent times, some of his shards, due to how difficult they are to contain, have escaped into the galaxy and are rebuilding their strength. Overall, the Nightbringer can go fuck himself. Next up is
What the fuck, really? Shards are really hard to contain, so some of them actually escaped. Holy shit, I was just saying at the start of the video like that's not gonna happen. But who the fuck knows, there could be element of Catan coming back. Look at the Catan's name, Nightbringer, everything like, actual god of death, and there's like this literally, proper like our mythology type god-like creature. Like, holy shit, how do you fight that? This is some next level shit.
The Deceiver, the Catan who tricked the Necron tier into giving up their souls and bodies. The Deceiver is a lot more subtle than the other Catan. He was the one who orchestrated the War in Heaven after all. He is the god of lies, manipulation, and deception. Three traits you don't want to find in your girlfriend. The Deceiver relies on its tricks for power, as it was physically weaker than most of its Catan brothers. It's the kind of guy to make really over-the-top elaborate plots which are super unnecessary and overly complicated, and eventually they backfired. Pretty soon everyone realized that this guy was a dick and named him the Deceiver, kind of ruining his reputation. He survived the Catan eating each other by hiding like a little bitch, but when the Necrons turned on the Catan, not even the Deceiver saw it coming, and he got raped pretty hard. Most of his shards are now bound to the Necrons, however a couple of them are out there doing deceptive cringy shit. Next up is Maglaroth, the Void Dragon, the most powerful of all the Catan. This naughty boy is the god of oblivion, destruction and devastation. I mean, I guess the Nightbringer was also the god of destruction, but pretty much all the Catan break shit so they can share the title. The Void Dragon was also a master craftsman, creating nearly invincible warriors as well as the Necron pylons that fucked with the warp. During the War in Heaven, the Eldar god Vol created the Blackstone.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there something like Void Dragon is the one who gives power to the Mechanicus or something, because being in Mars or something, that gives literal power, so I guess that's from Void Dragon, right? Or am I mixing that up?
fortresses and used them all simultaneously to hit the Void Dragon with a fat Kamehameha. This attack wounded the Void Dragon and broke off a couple of its shards, which the Necrons imprisoned. The wounded Void Dragon retreated to our solar system and hung out there for a while until the God Emperor of Mankind came in and kicked his ass. He then locked him up underneath Mars. This is why Mars became such a technological powerhouse. The power of the Void Dragon's creation seeped into the Martians.
See, that's what the problem I have with it, right? Like, these Katans are shown as like literally god type creature having god type titles. Really mythical type of creatures who just feels like the titles are really heavy. They were used to devour entire fucking stars. And yet the most powerful of them got their ass kicked by Emperor. Like, I get it, Emperor is really powerful, but the power scales is really hard to understand, right? That would imply that Emperor is literally powerful than anything. Like, Emperor has a power to destroy a star or something. Because he can kick his ass off, you know, a White Dragon and shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, this is...
Now, a lot of people think that the Void Dragon was never sharded. He was, just not that much. The Void Dragon under Mars is the original Void Dragon and has lost a number of shards in his fight with Vol. Those shards are incredibly powerful, with one of them almost wiping out an entire Necron dynasty during a rampage. If the Void Dragon underneath Mars is ever freed, then the galaxy is in for a shit one. Next up is Nadarara Zaratha.
So that could be a thing, right? All the Void Dragon shards are obviously out there. So Emperor fought Void Dragon but not at full power. If all the shards of Void Dragon combines, then the proper Katan forms, right? That's how it is. Then I guess the result would be different.
The Burning One. Okay, now we're just taking the piss with these names. The Burning One was essential to beating the Old Ones during the War of Heaven, as he figured out how to make the webway accessible for the Necrons and the Katan, hence nullifying a massive advantage the Old Ones had over them. If you've ever heard of the Dolmen Gates, the Necron gates into the webway, this is the guy who made them. However, making gates to the webway isn't exactly a huge power play when it comes to getting betrayed by Necrons, hence he was sharded and turned into a battery without too much drama, relatively speaking. The last important Katan is the Outsider. He, along with the Nightbringer, were the main ones when it came to eating their fellow Katan and ruining all their progress. Unlike the Nightbringer, however, the Outsider was driven insane from eating his bros, as it violated many of his fundamental bro code rules. Because of this, he fled to the darkest corners of the galaxy in shame, and returned to eating stars instead of souls. However, as a result of this, he never actually was sharded by the Necrons, making him one of, if not the greatest threat to the galaxy right now.
What the fuck?
He's entered into this sort of hibernation and self-imprisonment, as he's built a Dyson sphere around him.
Wait a minute, so this is an actual full-fledged Katan out there? Damn. This I still can get over, like, I get it, like, Necrons had the powers of Katan, and they were like husked in of souls, just soulless, like Terminator type machines. How the fuck they were part Katan? Obviously, most of the Katan fought with each other, but still, it's like godlike being, and Necrons literally basically sharded them. How'd that happen?
If he were to get his shit together and come back to the galaxy revenge, everyone would be pretty fucked. Those are like the main Katan that we know of. However, there are a number of ones such as Zahurush, the Potinet, that got turned into a Necron battery to power the Pharos device. He was tricked by everyone's favourite mechanical hentai monster Belsarius Call into helping the Archmagos. Once Call's deception became obvious, the Katan swore vengeance on him. Might be hard for him to achieve that vengeance, as part of Call's deception was delivering the Katan straight to pissed off Necrons that wanted their battery back. Another Katan is Nephoron, the Spiral Flame, who we don't know much about other than the fact that the Necrons have shards of him, and they use one to rape the tits out of an army of Tyranids. There is also Yugaranatha, whatever the fuck that name is, the World Shaper, who was a Katan that, you guessed it, loved shaping worlds. He was sharded along with most of his kin. One of these shards powered the World Engine and actively helped the Astral Knights destroy the Necron superweapon before he himself escaped to the galaxy. Another shard of this particular Katan was destroyed when I, Kato Sicarius, threw a vortex grenade at it, an achievement worthy of promotion, I would say. It seems that Katan shards can be destroyed without consequence. The reason why the Necrons don't do it is because they make cool batteries. The Silent King uses a Katan shard to power his floating chair thing. On top of that, they are also really powerful trump cards to pull out in times of need. Sure, they are volatile and can often cause a lot of problems for the Necrons, but these incidents are few and
Wait a
far
minute, so
between.
Catan can be killed, yet the shards can be killed, so they can be killed like that. If you destroy all shards, Catans are dead, is that it?
And the Necrons have a surprisingly good grip on the Star Gods. In saying that though, there are numerous Catan shards out there who have escaped their Pokeballs and are slowly freeing their other shards and growing more powerful. Some shards have even reached the Transcendent status, which means they have merged with dozens or more shards to create a Demi-Catan. The Necrons can still store and imprison these Transcendent shards, but it's a lot harder. They need to use a Master Ball instead of your average Pokeball to store those bad boys. With the Void Dragon beneath Mars and the Outsider on the edge of the galaxy, the Catan are just one bad day away from throwing a massive spanner in the mix. With the galaxy seemingly on the edge of complete implosion, the arrival of the Nids, the awakening of the Necrons, the arrival of the Inari and the fall of Cadia, maybe it's time we throw in a few pissed off Star Gods as well. And that does us for today, guys. The lore and
That is something seriously good. Like, imagine everybody's just fighting. Another Horus Heresy level thing happened. Chaos Gods got involved. Necrons are really at high power. Tyrann is also here, and suddenly like scratch disc happen, and you see in the distance. That's right, boys. We are back. All the Catans are back. Holy shit! Yeah, that's what you need. Imperium's like, oh god, that's what we need right now. I feel like when the Emperor comes back, right, they could introduce something like this, because clearly Emperor is like godlike being, and at that point you need a godlike threat, so why the fuck not? Like, obviously there are Chaos Gods, but yeah, if they go past that somehow, they could introduce Catans, I don't know. I'm thinking way in the future type of storylines. I don't know. I don't even know how much GW is going to stress this out. Like, there could be a period where Warhammer is really famous. Then again, there could be a period where Warhammer is not that much famous and goes in the background. At that point, I feel like they might not release so much updates at that point. I don't know. Yeah. People go through phases. I don't know which phase we're going to go through in the future. But right now, Warhammer is really hard, so that's good. Right, well, that was the Catan explained by the channel Major Kill. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you next time.